Hello my dear students, welcome back and get ready to learn a lot of interesting and useful information today. My name is Чолпан Каландарова and I'm your English teacher. Today's topic is It's a big, big world. But before we begin, let's learn and practice new vocabulary. Visiting a foreign country. Visiting a foreign country. Carnations, carnations. Victory Day, Victory Day. Boiled potatoes, boiled potatoes. A knife, a knife. To spit, to spit. Handshake, handshake. Bad habits, bad habits. Luck, luck. Health, health. Showing a tongue, showing a tongue. Let's listen and learn about different types of behavior in different countries. Pay attention to the highlighted words in the text. I study at the international school now. In my class, there are a lot of students from different countries. Now, I know a lot of things about how people in different countries live. When people visit a foreign country, they don't often think about what they can or what they can't do there. But it's very important because differences in culture very often can become a reason for a problem if you don't know about them. For example, people in many countries often give flowers as a present for different events like birthday, dating, weddings, and many others. But be careful, some flowers are not a good present. In Russia and Kyrgyzstan, carnations are the symbol of Victory Day. In Germany and Italy, people never present carnations. In Germany and Italy, people never present carnations because they are the symbol of death there. Tourists in Germany sometimes make another mistake when they use a knife for eating boiled potatoes. Germans think that you don't like their cooking and think that potatoes are not well cooked. Spitting is usually a bad habit in most countries. But African tribe Maasai people always spit on their hands before they shake hands with other people. They often spit on children because they wish them health and good luck. In many countries, showing tongue is not very polite and people hardly ever do it in public places. In India, people usually show their tongue when they're angry. People are so different. Indeed, the world and behavior of people are very different, right? Now, let's check what you have understood from the text. Try to answer the following questions. How often people in Germany and Italy give carnations as a present? Yes, they never give carnations as a present. The second question, how often tourists in Germany make mistake when they use a knife for eating boiled potatoes? Good job. They sometimes make the mistake. Next question. How often African tribe Maasai people spit on their hands before they shake hands with other people? You are right. They always spit on their hands before shaking hands with other people. And the last question, how often people show their tongue in the public place? Yes, people hardly ever show their tongue in the public place. Now, look at the highlighted words and tell me how these words are called. Have you ever met them before? Great. They're called adverbs of frequency. We use them to describe how often an action happens. They are also so-called signal words of the present simple tense. There are the adverbs of frequency that we use most of the time: always, usually, hardly ever, often, never, and sometimes. In this task, put the adverbs of frequency onto the diagram according to their percentage. For example, 100% is always, and 0% is never. The rest of the words try to put on your own. Time is up. Let's check the answers. 100 is always, 90% is usually, 70% is often, 50% is sometimes, 20% is hardly ever, and 0% is never. Let's have a look at the adverbs of frequency closer. Always, always. We use always when we want to say that we do an action every time or all the time. For instance, he always does his homework. In other words, he does it every day or all the time. Usually, usually. Things that we do normally or generally. For example, we usually have dinner at home. Often, often. We use it when we want to say that we do something many times but less than usually. For example, I often go to the cinema with my family. Sometimes, sometimes. Things that we do on some occasions but not always. For instance, I have a car, but sometimes I take a bus to work. Hardly ever, hardly ever. Things that we almost never or rarely do. For instance, she hardly ever calls me. Never, never. We use never when we want to say that we do an action at no time in the past or no time in the future. For example, I have never been in London. Adverbs usually come after a subject and before the main verb. For example, I often play tennis on Sundays. Or adverbs can be used after subject and verb to be. Let's look at the example. I'm usually hungry after school. But the adverbs of frequency like usually, often, sometimes can also be used at the beginning or end of a sentence. For example, sometimes I go shopping on Sundays. It's time to practice. Look at the sentence and put the adverb of frequency in the brackets correctly. He listens to the radio. Yes, he often listens to the radio. They read a book. You are right. They usually read a book. Petey gets angry. Well done. Petey never gets angry. In this task, I will ask you questions and you should give your answers using the adverbs of frequency given below. For each question, you will have 20 seconds to answer. For example, how often do you go swimming? And you can answer, I always go swimming. Let's get started. How often do you watch TV? How often do you play chess? How often do you visit your grandparents? How often do you meet your friends? Alright, thank you for sharing, children. Now we will not just watch a video, but we will play a game called Word Search. You will need to find the words given on the screen, and you will have only 15 seconds to find that word. Are you ready? Let's go! Do you remember we did this type of exercise in the last lesson? Here, you need to put the bubbles in the correct order. Sarah smiles always. The correct answer is Sarah always smiles. Next one. I eat hardly ever meat. Yes, I hardly ever eat meat. Coffee often drinks he. He often drinks coffee. Very is usually friendly tone. That's right. Tom is usually very friendly. 4. Late never is class John. Good job. John is never late for class. Take your pens and copybooks and let's do another exercise. What do you usually do on Saturdays? Look at this percentage diagram and remember the adverbs of frequency. In this exercise, you need to put the adverbs of frequency into the given sentences on the right according to their percentage. For example, what adverb of frequency means 100? Yes, that's always. So on Saturdays, I go shopping with friends will be. On Saturdays, I always go shopping with friends. Write the ready sentences in your copybooks. Time is up. Let's see the correct answers. Correct your mistakes if you have them. I usually visit my grandparents. I often watch football on TV. I sometimes meet with my friends. I hardly ever play computer games. I never go swimming. Children, can you tell me what happens to the verb in the present simple if we use it with third person singular he, she, it? That's right, we add s ending to it. So your task is to put the words in the brackets into the given sentences. Perfect! Let's check your answers. Look at the correct sentences and compare them with yours. Correct your mistakes if you have them. I often clean my bedroom at weekend. My brother hardly ever helps me with my homework. Tony never plays computer games with me. The school bus always arrives at 8 o'clock. We hardly ever watch football on TV. They sometimes go swimming. You did a great job today and came so far, so finish the last task. Now we will watch and listen the dialogue, and you should be careful. Pay attention to the pronunciation, try to memorize the adverbs of frequency that are used in the conversation. Are you ready? Okay.
What do you usually have for dinner?
I try to eat healthy, so I usually cook vegetables.
Really? What kind of stuff do you make?
Sometimes I make soups. Sometimes I make stir-fry.
Stir-fry? That's not very healthy.
I know, but I don't eat it that often.
Try to remember the adverbs of frequency in the conversation and put them in today's dialogue. Okay, let's check. Ben, what do you usually have for dinner? Sarah, I try to eat healthy, so I usually cook vegetables. Ben, really? What kind of stuff do you make? Sarah, sometimes I make soups. Sometimes I make a stir-fry. Ben, stir-fry? That's not very healthy. I know, but I don't eat it that often. Now, let's practice the dialogue. I will read the Ben's lines and you should read Sarah's sentences. What do you usually have for dinner? Really? What kind of stuff do you make? Stir-fry? That's not very healthy. Great, let's change the roles. You should read Ben's lines and I will read Sarah's. Start reading now. I try to eat healthy, so I usually cook vegetables. Sometimes I make soup, sometimes I make a stir-fry. I know, but I don't eat it that often. Let's revise what we have learned. What did we talk about, guys? That's right, we learned about different types of behavior around the world. And the second part of the lesson was devoted to the adverbs of frequency, such as always, usually, often, hardly ever, sometimes, and never. They are used to show how often you do something. Now you have more vocabulary that will make your English even better. It was wonderful to have you here today. Thank you for coming and see you next time.